Oh, Appalachian Spring, I gained the ledge, steep inaccessible smile that eastward bends and northward reaches in that violet wedge of Adirondacks wisps of azure wands. Now that to me can sound like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but if you take a look at it, you'll start to see that it reflects a specific spring in America, where this poet called Hart Crane described in his poem called The Dance. It's 1942 and World War II is raging on. Just a quick note, all the pieces that we've looked at were written over a period of 3 years within the period of World War II. So World War II is raging and artists are more eager in creating purely American works. Step in dancer Martha Graham, who has a vision to create a truly American ballet, and step in Aaron Copland, who is a truly American composer. It's a match made in American artistic paradise. Originally, Aaron called the piece Ballet for Martha. But sometime just before the premiere, Martha stumbled across the poem called The Dance by Hart Crane, and in those first few words, Oh, Appalachian Spring, that became the name of the piece of Copland. So it's arguably one of his most famous works, and there's a common misconception about it being related to the Appalachian Mountains in America and relating to the season of spring. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. It's just based off of the first few words of the poem, and the spring is actually referring to that well of water, an actual spring where you have fresh water. So it would often amuse Copland whenever people would say, man, I was listening to your music, Oh Appalachian Spring, and it really brought out the sensation of the Appalachian Mountains. So he would be busy smirk off and say, knowing that this has absolutely nothing to do with the mountains. But you know what? Let's just give it to them if it makes them happy. And then the part of the melody called Simple Gifts, it actually refers to, it's in the first 3 minutes, and it refers to a very famous melody done by a specific people called the Quakers. So if you guys know Quaker Oats, I think there's some relationship between the Quakers and Quaker Oats. I'm not too sure what it is, but it's an interesting thing to find out. So the melody is a traditional folk melody derived from the Quaker people. And it's kind of interesting how the last two people we looked at, from Edward Grieg to Rolf Van Williams, they're all interested in incorporating traditional folk tunes of their country into their work. And Aaron Copland is no different. From Norway to England to America, they're all doing it. They really want to get people to be proud of their country. How he was familiar with such a tune is very interesting, but it made no difference. It became one of his orchestral masterpieces. And yeah, people still listen to it to this day. At the end of his life, he spent much of the second part of his life conducting rather than composing, and he was incredibly successful throughout his long life and left a musical legacy. He died in 1990, so not too far ago. That's 30 years ago. And yeah, he's been known for making very American music. So go have a listen to him, and I hope you've enjoyed this session on Aaron Copland. See you guys next week.